Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you so much for being here at TECN TV live out of the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. I'm your host, Ken McClinton. Not only happen to be the owner of the network, but also the host of this wonderful program, the Exceptional Conservative Show, nightly, Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a tenacious warrior with us tonight, with a great opportunity to make the world cry, or at least the Marxist world cry in the United States of America. If she were to upset David Scott in the 13th Congressional District of Georgia, I assure you MSNBC would be filming people weeping and gnashing across the country. Why? Because all of the polls are showing, at least from what I've seen, that she's a Democrat one down at this point. Unlike, ladies and gentlemen, other polls that she's a Democrat 20 down, meaning that there is a variance so great that there could be an upset. And if there is an upset, ladies and gentlemen, we want to make certain that we participate in that upset. We're going to make certain that Becky Heights comes back with us as often as she can across the nation and let people know you need to donate to this campaign because it's a real one and she can win it. And then number two, you need to pray for her nightly so that when she does, she comes to Washington to change it. I want to introduce to some and present to others Becky Heights out of the 13th Congressional District of Georgia, the good GA. Ladies and gentlemen, Becky Heights. Great having you here tonight. Becky, we got to get really, really down to the nitty gritty at this point. You're not supposed to win, and Donald Trump is not supposed to win. The Democrats have done everything, including David Scott, voting for his impeachment on all the counts, 2 counts, in December of last year. They've closed down the economy, except in Georgia. Thank God for Governor Brian Kemp. But you're not supposed to win. He's not supposed to win. What would you like to tell the American people tonight about those polls and those belief systems?
Well, it's fascinating because I have friends on both sides of the aisle, and they, beat me up with the polls, and I'm saying, well, this time last year, the president wasn't supposed to win. Conservatives don't speak to the media. We don't take polls anymore because there's no upside for us to give a poll. And there's a lot of bullying and peer pressure to not believe what we believe. And honestly, praise God, our country has a private vote. So I can vote for whoever I want to without this colluding into the media. And so I think that the media is completely disconnected with the reality that people are. I'm very frustrated at President Obama in 2013 and allowed propaganda to be reported as news.
Yeah.
I very much intend to change that to the extent I can once I get to Capitol Hill. I think it does America a disservice. I think that people are smarter. A lot of people have just turned the TV off because there's no virtuous on it. The opinions are jammed down our throat. I don't think the American people believe what's being reported.
I agree with you, Becky.
And I know that before I got into this race, I didn't know anything about politics. I was a business person, and as all smart business people do, if you're getting into something new, you're going to get some resources.
Yep.
And I hired a very accomplished campaign strategist who had worked for Huckabee during his presidential campaign, and had worked in a number of local and national races. And he ran the numbers, and I had a sense of what was going on. I felt a call of God to come into this race. We talked earlier about why would you do it. It's a brutal, brutal process. And as I'm learning, it's not a feedback loop type process. Like, you just have to believe it. You just have to go for it. You just have to, and it's interesting to me because in history, I was never taught that Winston Churchill wanted the populist opinion about the war in Britain. And it turns out he stood alone, but he was determined. He was like, we are going to win. We are going to do this.
Exactly.
And so, those are kind of some of the influences in my life. I know I'm in the right. I know that our country needs to be defended. I know that capitalism is the most wonderful economic system in the world. It's the most equal system. It's the most empowering system. And for the media to be giving so much time to people who would suggest otherwise is absolutely absurd. The whole Green New Deal is just absolutely self-destructive.
Exactly.
And I think people are smarter than that.
Exactly. I want to
And I
talk.
think that's why we have this opportunity in District 13 because David Scott has always voted with the party. He's never put the district over the party. He's never really done anything to listen to except a very small segment of the population in the district. You know, his health plan and his education plan are, let me help you get out of District 13. And I'm kind of like, this is my home. This is where I live. This is where I want to work. Why can't we make our home just as growth-oriented as other places? I write reports that banks use to build new manufacturing operations. So I have some concept of how that works. I've never worked in state business development, but I certainly know how it gets done. And I know the people at the port of Savannah. That's a great example. When I
Yeah.
moved out of the state in 1998, it was just a small, sleepy port. And when I came home, it was the fourth largest port on the Eastern Seaboard.
Exactly.
And wow, how did that happen? And it happened through people working the system.
Exactly.
So
I
that's
got.
what I hope to do for this.
I got to ask you here, Becky, because the Savannah port is a vital point in Americans'
Absolutely.
transportation system. But one of the biggest crises that we have in America, not just our transportation system, but our infrastructure system in America. Yet David Scott
Sure.
and the Democrat Marxists want us to spend a ton of money on the Green Act or the green economy. They want us to spend a ton of money tearing down homes and hospitals and other structures and rebuilding them to the same level, adding the green taxes and things of that particular nature. Is this what your Georgia congressional district wants, or would they prefer
Yeah.
a development of the infrastructure, a redevelopment of infrastructure there in the 13th congressional district?
It's fascinating because some of the counties have had better success than others on how they lobby for investment.
Yeah.
And one of the interstates, particularly going south, has 5 or 6 lanes and it's tolling. And, they talk about Atlanta, there's more time wasted by freight and transportation trying to get through Atlanta because there's no real way around it. And it's just, the people want investment in their communities and they want investment in ways to make their lives better.
Now, I want to ask you, because you have a great deal of understanding of the economy, which gets the biggest bang for the buck? Is it the whole concept of the Green New Deal, or is it the concept of fixing up what we have and making it better? I mean, which one would be the bigger job producer in your opinion, and which side does David Scott fall on?
Right, well, I'm a free market capitalist.
Yep.
So I'm always going to come down in the favor of free markets, fair markets, open markets. I believe that if people are properly motivated by income, that they will make the best decision for their families. And if we structure the system in such a way that the way they make the best income works the best for our country, then that's a home run, right? I worked on Wall Street. You talked about Wall Street. We would leave family reunions. We would leave friends' weddings. If our boss called, we picked up the phone. And my friends would be like, why? This is your life. And I'm like, I don't have a life. And the reason was because people basically made the strategy, I can do this for 5 or 10 years, put $1 million in the bank, and then I can go live my life and do what I want.
Yeah.
So it's just proof that if the incentive structure is in place, people will make the structure work, right? As opposed to what the Marxists and the socialists want to do is they want to tell you to trust them to make all your decisions,
Yep.
and to just stay at home and to stay safe where they can protect you. And to me, that's not how America was built, right?
Exactly.
I have friends who they're 3 generations ago, 4 generations ago, 5, whatever it was, were in wagons going to Colorado. And she still has at their ranch house, she still has the china that her great, however many great grandmother had
Yeah.
in the wagon. So, and in District 13, it's interesting because you think of Atlanta downtown as inner city, and District 13 is south and west of Atlanta, for those of you who don't know. And so, but in the south area, we have the airport. And so a lot of people were employed by the airport, or employed by Delta, or employed. Chick-fil-A is in our district. I'm so thrilled with that. I love Chick-fil-A. But people have learned and made their lives better. And so this lie that that they want to perpetuate that you're being held down, and And a lot of people in my district have figured that out.
Exactly.
And I think that they're more interested in protecting the wealth and their livelihood that they've built than they are in buying into the socialist system.
Exactly. Tonight we have with us a great guest, and I am so glad that she's running for office, Becky Heites. You can find her on Twitter at HitesForCongress. You can also find her page, Heites for Congress, on Facebook. This is a winnable race, ladies and gentlemen, very winnable race. It does require a great deal of support outside of Georgia, and one of the reasons why I'm mentioning outside of Georgia is because dollars and cents are starting to flow into David Scott because of you. You. See, money doesn't flow there unless there might be a problem, although he states that he's brought $1.8 billion of money from the feds into the 13th Congressional District. Does he take abnormal credit for the airport and the money that's brought in to the airport as a result of the federal dollars and cents?
I don't want to speak for what he does and doesn't take credit for. I don't spend that much time paying attention to it, frankly.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't skip for us and my family and my district and my constituents, and it's taking all of my time to get that message out as opposed to trying to focus on what they're doing.
Now, I want to ask you, you mentioned your grandmother's China. Let's speak about the country of China. And whether you consider China a friend or a foe or frenemy to the United States of America. Should we break off our relationship or begin to dwindle down our relationship with China? What do your policy beliefs regarding foreign policy with Donald Trump and China?
Right, so it's a two-pronged question. Given the fact that they tried to just kill all of us with a virus, I'm going to say they're definitely in the foe category. I have a global business. I've been to China. I have clients in China. For years and years, it's been an open secret in manufacturing that you don't want to take any protected technology over there because it'll be appropriated. I know that when our reports, I write reports about an industry, and when our reports go over there, I warn my partner that not to expect to see any income, and then to expect that the information is going to be distributed. So I would just say that it's in our best interest to protect ourselves against China, and pulling back is definitely one of those aspects.
Do you believe, because India today, or actually yesterday, broke its relationship with TikTok and banned it from being in their country, do you believe the president should move forward with this threat, or should he allow the 45 days to be worked out between Microsoft and TikTok in terms of ownership?
So, again, it pulls both ways, right? Because I think smaller governments stay out of it, but in this particular instance, we're being threatened with espionage, basically. And so I appreciate that he's trying to protect it. I think the fact that he made a strong statement and then he backed up and gave the free market, the fair market, a little chance to work, I think his policy is okay. I'm in line with it.
Excellent. Now, in terms of the whole concept of the 13th Congressional District and your campaign there, what exactly are you doing that's making the Democrats fret so much that you could be upsetting David Scott? What's the secret sauce? Nobody's listening. You can tell me. What exactly are you doing?
Well, again, I've got a life history of not doing things halfway and being effective in the things I take on. So I think for the first time in a long time, he's actually got a challenger, and he's actually being forced to run a race.
There you go. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Let me ask you about the fact that August 1st came. Donald Trump, April 15th, said we needed to be open as a nation. He was the greatest optimist regarding our economy. He even proposed that we would have a V-shaped recovery if we would just open up our nation. Not many people followed Governor Brian Kemp, and some people are retracing their steps, like in Texas and in Florida, your neighbor. Brian Kemp is staying on point, keeping the place open. However, August 1st came. Landlords now have the right to kick people out of their homes. The grace period's over. The money for PPP is all exhausted. And this Congress, spending time playing golf, didn't come back and fix anything to help families from this point on. Is that the role of the government? Should we allow just the states to say, hey, you all took control, you shut everything down, you pay for it? Or should the federal government remain involved financially outside of the Federal Reserve?
Right. Again, it's a tough question because I'm a smaller government, staying out of our business. I believe government should actually be serving the people. It should be empowering the people to be more effective in the control of their lives, right? But they forced us all to stop working. And now they've, it's kind of, you broke it, you fix it. But I also don't want permanent socialist kind of policies instilled in the character of our culture, because that's not how America was built, and that's not what makes America great. That's not what makes everybody want to come here, right? I mean, we're a rich nation, but it's more about the fact that if you work hard and you have a good and you have a good vision, you can actually change your socioeconomic status. And I feel like that if the government is fixing everything, that's not going to be the case.
Exactly.
So I'm fearful of the cure.
Exactly.
It's what they created, the problem they created.
Yeah, and you know, the problem, and people don't realize, Donald Trump received a note in February from Fauci's group, Johns Hopkins University, that 2.5 million Americans were going to die. We were all going to go to heaven, and you know, we were leaving the earth. You know, and then all of a sudden we realized that this virus isn't as great. We had only planned for really about 2 to 4 weeks to be shut down. And now you have governors and mayors who are extending that. Should they be financially responsible for their decisions?
You know, it's interesting. Trey Gowdy said something on the news tonight, and he said if there's no financial disincentive to not solving the problem's never going to get solved. And that was his explanation for why Congress went out and didn't do anything. And, you know, I made a speech in one of the counties on Saturday, and it's our inalienable right. Life, liberty, and pursuit happiness. But if we let the government abuse us and we don't stop and say stop, enforce the law, the community should be safe, you know, stop.
Exactly.
And government power is going to do as much as it can, right? It's never going to get pushed back on. So I think it's up to the people, the constituents in Georgia and every state to push back and say, listen, this is unacceptable. We have to be allowed to make a living. You exceeded your authority.
They're talking about at the federal level, and this is why, off record, for a lot of people who are trying to follow along at home, the breakdown in the communication is regarding the teachers union, is regarding education. Should the teachers unions be, and their demands for pay and increases in pay and things, should the federal government be involved in that particular process? Is that a state issue? Should the federal government say that we're not going to send any money to a state that doesn't reopen? What would be your philosophy regarding that?
You know, I feel like if you're paying for a service, you can get the service. And if you're not getting the service, you shouldn't be paying for it.
Should the money go...
You know, the teachers union is way overstepped, particularly in California, where not only are they insisting that their teachers be kept safe, but they've got a whole laundry list. You saw it in the IT hearings on Congress last week, where, you know, the congressman rightfully asked company CEOs, you said you couldn't do our business because your employees objected. What kind of a country are we where it's not enough to have a job that you get to tell your boss how you get to do that job? Never no job I ever had was how.
I know.
So there needs to be a rebalance of power for sure.
Exactly. Do you believe that parents should receive, because this is one of the sticklers, that parents should receive Department of Education federal funds to make certain that they can put their kids in a school that can open during the school year?
Oh, I'm 1,000% behind school choice. My background, I mentioned a little bit, I was in the military, and we came home from a German school, an American German school, which was, you know, probably more advanced than most schools. how to learn because they weren't taught. And I think that's criminal. I think that definitely needs to be changed. I think that if you cannot provide a school environment where kids can learn, then you don't deserve to be running the school.
There you go.
And if the only way we can fix that is to go to the fair market and let parents choose where to put their kids, I'm all for that. And I think that the changes that have been made over the last 15, 20 years, because my parents couldn't afford to put us in a private school. We went in my church school, and my mom volunteered with the church to pay for it. So it was a hard choice for our family. I know a lot of families don't have those options. I'm committed, at least in District 13, we've had some issues with some of our school systems. And
Exactly.
Better supervision and better enforcement. And, whether it comes under the education secretary or if it comes in through the state. But there needs to be accountability, however you do that. And generally, accountability means money.
Exactly.
And that's the only way you can control anything.
Exactly. I could keep you here all night long. You are just the most perfect fiscal conservative that should be here in Washington. Certainly not David Scott. And I think we already got the secret sauce to how you're winning, because it is that choice question. When you have single mamas now who have to make a decision, do I stay home with my kid and teach them online, or do I send them to a school, and work? It's getting kind of easy with that answer. How can people support your campaign? Where can they go? Do you want $1? Do you want $5? Do you want $5 million? How you want this? Do you want a case? How do you do this?
So on our website, which is HitesForCongress.com, we have a donation page, so we would love for people to go and make a donation there. I'm American, so I want $5 million. I'll take anything people can afford to give. It's not inexpensive to run a congressional race. My family is not independently wealthy. We're making sacrifices to be able to stay in this race. And we've got big plans, but if we had the funding, we'd be doing a lot more things, and so we appreciate everybody's support.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to let you all know that on the insides of Washington, it is the choice question across the country, the education answer. And her answer is the reason why the 13th Congressional District is in play. She understands that you can't stay home, not work, and teach your kids. It's not possible. It's not mathematically. You can put it up on the chalkboard. It's not mathematically possible. She's got the right answer. She needs to be here in Washington to protect our rights. Ladies and gentlemen, Becky Heights, thank you so much for being here. We look forward to you coming back in a few more weeks and give us an update on your great campaign. All right. God bless you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what we got to do. We got to go away. We got to make a profit somewhere, because they're shutting down everything, and you don't want them to shut down our profit-making ability, because that would be like communism. I want to thank y'all so much for watching tonight. We will be back with more of the best in urban conservative talk. I happen to be your host, Ken McClinton, TECN TV president. Just finished a great conversation with Becky Heights. Heights for Congress on Facebook. Heights for Congress on Google. At Heights for Congress on Twitter. Make certain, ladies and gentlemen, that whatever you do, make it a Heights-oriented thing tonight. We will be back with more of the best in urban conservative talk, news, and movies right after this. You're watching the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital.